Samantha Monroe sat in her office waiting for Leland Keys to come by. He was president of the leading bank in town and she handled his investments. He wanted to diversify more. She was all prepared for him. She ran the major investment firm in town and ruled it with an iron fist. She took no guff from anyone. She was all business. She had finished today's Wall Street Journal and was up on just about every investment opportunity. Her intercom buzzed and she knew Leland was there. He entered her office and she could see he had something on his mind. "Sam, I was talking to Harvey Preston who does his own investing. He has been investing in third world banks and says he is making a killing. How come we never invest in those sorts of things?" There are a number of reasons. First, most of those countries' money is so unstable that one day it may match dollar for dollar and 2 days later it is worth a dime on the dollar. Second, I have been following some of those foreign banks and they aren't regulated like our banks are. Last week 11 of those banks shut down operations without explanation. Any investors lost their money. Also, most of those banks don't submit reports like ours have to do. However, if you want, we can invest some of your money in foreign banks. You tell me which ones you want and how much and I will take care of the transactions. No, I see your reasoning. You know that is why I have you handle my investments. You look at the things I never think of. By the way, did you know that the word is out that your husband Melvin was laid off because he spent too much time fluffing off? Harry Carter, his ex-boss, said Melvin spent too much time talking to the other employees and wasn't carrying his share of the workload. No, I didn't know that. They told him they lost 2 accounts and that there wasn't enough work for the workforce they had. I did hear that they lost Cumberland Industries, that was one of their biggest customers. Yeah, I did hear Cumberland is reorganizing. They were flying and then came the crash. The high fuel costs did them in. Their big furnaces have to keep running and that takes big bucks these days. Everyone has to watch where their money is going. That is why I watch things so closely. I've been lucky more than once switching some investments. As soon as I see cash flow going down, I start watching a company very close. I have to get back to the bank. Thank you for the information. Keep up the great work. He left. Now she was thinking about Melvin. She knew he was a talker and that he wasn't the most ambitious man in the world. She wondered if losing a client had just given them a reason to lay him off, when the real reason was he wasn't pulling his weight. When she arrived home, Melvin, as usual, had supper cooking on the stove. He was a very good cook. She cooked very few meals as he was a better cook than she was. When they were eating, she told him about Leland's visit, and when she said something about him fluffing off at work, he emphatically denied it. He said he always did his work. Oh, by the way, Mabel Hanson called and said she was going to have surgery and wouldn't be coming to clean the house. She said she was sending her daughter Rebecca in her place. What's for dessert? I didn't make anything. I thought this was a big meal, that we wouldn't want dessert. She got up and went to the freezer and took out 2 individual pies and minutes later had them thawed in the microwave and setting in front of them. That's the difference between you and me. I always look ahead and prepare for anything. If I see anything that we might someday need, I get it. We may have a lot of extra things around, but you never know when we might need them. Before you start to clean up, get me a drink so I can relax. He got her the drink and then cleaned up after the meal. She was reading the evening paper, then thought about Melvin. If the word was that he wasn't the best worker, he would never get a job in town. He was collecting unemployment, but that wouldn't last forever. The next morning Rebecca arrived. Samantha looked at her and thought she looked a bit slutty in her short shorts and tight top, but didn't say anything. Melvin looked at Rebecca and a smile crossed his face as he wondered what she would be like in bed. All morning he played on the computer and got extra glasses of water to catch a glimpse of Rebecca as she cleaned. At noon he made them both soup and a sandwich. He ate slowly, watching her eat. She finished and took some nail polish out of her oversized purse and started to apply it to her nails. He was fascinated as he watched her apply the nail polish. She looked at him and smiled, and he was in her grasp. "Tell me, are you the least bit adventuresome?" "I think I'm as adventuresome as the next guy. I like to try things I've never tried before. Let me see your hands. I want to see how your fingernails look." She took his hands and said, "Tisk tisk, your nails look terrible. I will make them look great." She filed them, and he thought about how he should have clipped them back a long time ago. They were longer than hers were. She filed them with a curve that ended in a little point in the center of each nail. Then she said that as long as he was adventuresome, he should have some color on them. She slowly applied her wet, shiny, juicy tomato polish to his nails. When she was done, she told him that now he looked a lot better. All he could see was the light shining off of them, and was fascinated and transfixed as he looked at them. He heard her say something about wearing matching lipstick, but it didn't register. Quickly she applied the bright red lipstick to his lips and stood back and smiled. Then she said something about his eyes, and before he knew it he had eyeliner, eyeshadow, and waterproof mascara on. His eyelashes stood out like points of black in a white room. Then she said, "All of this has put me behind in my work, what with having to find all the cleaning supplies and all. Will you be a dear and do the carpeting for me?" He agreed and soon was working in the living room, then the hallway, followed by the bedrooms. He finished and Rebecca told him he had done a great job. He went back to his computer. When Rebecca was doing the bathroom, she saw the makeup remover and nail polish remover there. She took it and put it in her purse, laughing. He wasn't going to get by that easy. Then she said goodbye, and that she would be back tomorrow to finish the house. He looked at his watch and saw Samantha would be home any minute. He hadn't started supper yet. He would have to make one of his instant meals. Then he looked at his nails. He knew there was nail polish remover in the bathroom. When he went in, he was shocked to see the makeup on his face, then vaguely remembered Rebecca applying it. He knew he had seen different removers in the bathroom, because when he'd asked Samantha about them, she'd said someday she might try something, and wanted remover in case she didn't like it. He was getting desperate when he couldn't find the removers. He knew he had seen them here somewhere. Then he heard Samantha calling him. He was ready to cry as she came past the open door of the bathroom. She took a look at him and her jaw dropped. "What is this? It isn't Halloween, so why are you wearing makeup? It isn't how you think it is." "I can explain. Where did the makeup removers go?" "I don't know, but I want you to come here and explain why you are wearing all that makeup, and it better be good." They were in the bedroom and he started, "I made some lunch for Rebecca and then she was doing her nails and asked me if I was adventuresome. The next thing I knew I had red nails, and then I don't know how it happened but she put the makeup on me. I figured we had the removers so I wasn't worried about it. Then I got busy on the computer and lost track of time. I will make one of my quick meals and I would appreciate it if you found the makeup removers." "No, I have a better idea. We will go out to eat. But you can't go out looking like that, so I will just have to have you change clothes. Strip off all of your clothes, now." He stripped off his clothes and gasped when she handed him a pair of silk panties, saying he couldn't wear his boxers. She asked him if he really wanted to go out wearing men's clothes and makeup. She said she was sure she could make it so no one would think him out of place if he would just give her a chance. Then she ordered him to get the panties on. This was followed with a bra. She stuffed the cups so he had a decent-looking chest. Then she opened a new package of pantyhose which he put on, followed by a slip, and when she took a black dress out of her closet he gasped. He never knew she owned a dress. The only time he had seen her in a dress was their wedding day. He didn't think this was going to work. Then he heard her say, "Now where is it? I know it's here somewhere." "Ah, there it is." She had a little carrying case, and when she opened it he saw the long blonde wig she had worn one day for about an hour. He remembered her saying that it wasn't for her, that she liked her short hair. Soon he was wearing it and it had a jewel pin in it. Then she had him try a pair of black flats on. They were a bit too small for him, so they tried a pair of black mules with a 2-inch heel. They would do for tonight. He told her he could make a meal faster than if they ordered something at a supper club. She said nonsense, that they were going out to eat. In the car he felt odd, but he knew he had better do as Samantha said. He remembered once when he had defied her, she had slapped him very hard in anger. He didn't want to make her mad. At the supper club they were greeted as 2 women and were seated immediately. They both ordered steaks and soon were eating. Samantha thought about how nice he looked in all of the makeup. She had never ever thought about feminizing him, but now it didn't look like a bad idea. She loved the extra control it would give her over him. She thought about ways to use him to gain more control over him. You know, you look sweet, but that dress is just a little big on you. I think we should get you some dresses that look better on you and some shoes that have a better fit. I don't want to wear dresses. I never should have allowed you to get me into this one. What makes you think I want to wear dresses anyway? Well, you allowed yourself to be made up and to be made to look feminine. I'm just helping you go the rest of the way. Now, when we are done, we will go shopping for some new dresses for you. I don't want to go. I told you I don't want to wear dresses. You will either agree to get some new dresses when we leave here, or I will stop at the uniform shop and get you in uniform. I think you would look nice in a pretty French maid's uniform, don't you? Aren't you listening? I told you I don't want any dresses. You are the one who isn't listening. Now make up your mind, dresses or uniforms? I've made up my mind, so you better make up yours. He sat quiet, knowing she was getting angry. He wasn't going to give her an answer. They finished their meal and were in the car. She started it and turned toward him, asking dresses or uniforms. In a low voice he said dresses. She stopped at a leading women's wear store. Before long there were 10 dresses in the cart, plus an assortment of bras and panties. Then she took him by the nightgowns and showed him a lacy silk long nightgown. He said she always wore cotton pajamas to bed, why should he wear nightgowns? She said, so it would not be a problem sorting out whose was what when he did the laundry. She said he was getting fancy ones to make it easier. They ended up with 5 nightgowns and 3 baby doll very feminine pajamas for him. Then it was 3 different colored lacy garter belts and nylons, followed by silk slips. He was getting a sinking feeling in his stomach that she was looking at a long term for him to wear dresses. In the shoe department they got 6 pair of shoes, 2 of them being flats. The rest were 3-inch heels. Then Samantha spotted the jewelry area. Before he knew it, his ears had been pierced in 3 places each, and he wondered at how it hadn't hurt like he thought it would. She got him a gold woman's watch and some necklaces and bracelets. They had an assortment of jewelry boxes there, and she got him the largest one they had. It played music whenever you opened a drawer or door. He shuddered when she picked out 2 bright bikini swimsuits for him. When she picked out 3 purses for him plus a white wallet with Tinker Bell on it for him, he said he didn't think a wallet like that was necessary. She said he was cooperating so well she would get a different one for him, and picked a red patent leather one out to go with his red purse. She told him to pick out a white one to go with his white purse. All of the white ones had something on them. He finally picked one that had a blue flower on it. They were going down the aisle where there were racks of evening gowns. She was watching him and saw his gaze stop on a white one with delicate red roses embroidered on it. She asked him if he wanted it, and he quickly said no. She said she didn't believe him, and it found its way into their basket. She picked out a heavily scented English flower garden perfume for him, telling him she expected him to wear it every day. He hated the smell of it. He felt relieved when she finally said it was time to check out. At last the shopping was over with. The purchases filled the back seat of the car. He was shocked when she stopped at a 24-hour pharmacy/convenience store. She said he needed more makeup, that he couldn't expect Rebecca to always be there to do his. Inside, the saleslady helped them get everything they needed. Everything was either waterproof or guaranteed long-lasting. He said they needed makeup and nail polish remover, but Samantha said don't be silly, then relented and let him get nail polish remover. When he was getting the nail polish remover, Samantha spotted the false nails and got the elegant length ones with an extra bottle of adhesive. He felt like he had achieved a small victory getting the nail polish remover. He noticed the dress swirling around him as he walked. It wasn't bad. It did seem as if everyone was seeing him as a woman, and he gained confidence. In a way, it was fun fooling everyone. At home, as he was putting things away, he found he had to get rid of some of his men's clothes. Samantha told him to fill the boxes in the garage for the time being. He had all 3 of them filled in no time and finally had enough room to put everything away. He decided to take a shower and Samantha followed him into the bathroom. She said he should get rid of his body hair and she helped him get the lotion all over his body. He was shocked at how much hair came off him. After the shower, he used the lotion Samantha told him to use. It had a pleasant scent to it and he realized he now smelled feminine and wondered how long it would last. He put on one of the nightgowns and reveled in how nice it felt. It felt cool, really nice next to his hairless body. He looked at himself in the mirror and if he didn't know it was him, he would believe it was a woman on the pretty side. She wouldn't win any beauty pageants, but she wasn't bad looking. He went to say good night to Samantha. She was sitting reading the evening paper. "My, but you do look nice. Now, I expect you to wear those nice clothes we just got. Tomorrow wear the rose dress with your white heels. I think you will look divine in it. Don't forget to use your perfume first thing in the morning." "Why are you doing this to me? Why am I being punished?" "You are not being punished. When I first saw you I couldn't believe it, but then after I thought about it I decided you should be wearing dresses. You do look so pretty in them. Why don't you ever wear a dress? I can only remember our wedding day as the only time I saw you in a dress. I would have worn a white pantsuit on our wedding day if I could have found one that was right for the wedding. I am more comfortable in pants and jackets is all. I have worn only pants since grade school and that's how I want to dress. Besides, all you are doing is collecting unemployment. You haven't even tried to find a different job. You can stay at home and wear the dresses like a good wife." "A wife? A wife? Is that how you see me? Stop and think. I go to work every day and you stay home. Who stays home but the wife? You should be happy that I make enough for you to stay home. I'll make you a deal. If you find a job where you make more than I do, then I will be a wife and wear whatever you say. However, until then you will wear what I say. I know a lot of places hire over the internet, maybe you can find something there for a job. To make as much as you do I would have to be a vice president or something. How am I to find a job like that? That's your problem. I have been the major breadwinner ever since we were married. I never gave it a thought to make you wear a dress until tonight when I saw you in all that makeup and learned you had to keep it on. Now, I kind of like the idea of you staying home and being my wife. Can't we just leave things like they were? I promise I'll go out tomorrow and really look for a job, any job. If you go out tomorrow it'll be wearing the rose dress and white heels. I think the only job you might find is sales lady at some store. Now, I am not in the mood to argue, so off to bed with you." He lay in bed trying to think of some way out of this. He had no argument with the fact she brought more money into the household than he did. He knew her and he knew she would get her way, one way or another. He was awake yet when she came in. She was hot from her newfound power over him. She wanted sex and thought about how she could get him even more under her control. Then she remembered the 2-headed dildo she still had from college. She went into the bathroom and got the lubricating gel. She came back into the bedroom and remembered where she put the dildo. Soon she had it buckled on with the big head inside of her and the longer skinny head pointed out. She got into bed and started kissing him. They both worked up a frenzy, and when he reached to stroke her between her legs he felt something unnatural there. He tried to ask her what it was, but she kissed him to quiet him down. She piled the 2 bed pillows on top of each other, then got him kneeling over them. She pushed his ass cheeks apart and slowly and gently inserted the dildo. It was uncomfortable at first, then it became pleasurable. He started to back into her thrusts. Tell me you want to be my wife. No, I can't. Tell me or I will get angry. He couldn't control his feelings and finally told her he wanted to be her wife. She wanted to go further. Tell me you want to be the perfect wife. I want to be the perfect wife. Tell me you want to wear dresses and makeup all the time. I want to wear dresses and makeup all the time. Give me your word that you will wear only women's clothes from now on. You have my word. They both came at the same time and she withdrew. She felt giddy with the new control she had. She wondered why she had never tried it before. They both fell asleep in the afterglow and slept well. When he awoke, he remembered last night and wondered where she got that dildo. He thought about how there were a number of things he didn't know about Samantha. He got dressed, and when he looked at himself in the mirror, he saw he was still wearing the makeup. The dress was trimmed with white lace and didn't look too bad if he had to say so himself. He liked how the dress felt as he walked to the kitchen to get his first cup of coffee of the day. When Samantha got up and came into the kitchen, she said he'd forgotten to use his perfume and that she expected him to use it daily. He went and sprayed himself liberally, not caring for the scent. He was on his third cup of coffee when Rebecca arrived. He had forgotten about her. He tried to slouch down in his chair, but she saw him and gave him a big smile. Samantha said she had to get to work, then stopped and talked to Rebecca. Did you remove the makeup and nail polish removers from the bathroom? Yes, he said he was adventurous, so I figured I would help him be more adventurous. I will put them back. That's all right. You could do me a favor and show him how to apply makeup. There are 2 bags on the table for you to use. Also, have you ever applied false nails? Yes, many times. There are some in one of the bags. I would appreciate it if you would put them on him also. If you get him proficient in applying his own makeup, then there will be a bonus in it for you. She left for work and Rebecca got busy cleaning. She didn't say anything to him about his dress. He went and played on the computer. He stopped playing for a bit and thought about the fact that he was wearing a dress. It really wasn't bad. He enjoyed the softness and feel of the clothes. He would never admit this to anyone. He was interrupted when Rebecca came in. Hello, it's time for class. Your wife asked me to instruct you in the art of putting on makeup. Now, come along. He followed her into the dining area and sat down. She took all of the makeup out of the bags. She looked at each item closely. You have excellent taste in makeup. It's all the best. I see it's all long-lasting too. Let's start with your fingernails. Hold still now so I can glue on the false ones. She expertly glued on the false nails. He asked if they were going to be cut shorter and she said they were already formed, so why would he want to cut them back? When she was done with them, he had a shiny mirror finish of bright red nails. Then she started with foundation, putting it on him and then taking it off and having him do it himself. He was a fast learner and soon he had it pretty well down pat. She showed him some little tricks to getting it just right. They laughed a lot and actually became friends. She said she had no idea his wife would do this when she put the nail polish and makeup on him. It was time to make supper and he began making a special meal for tonight. Rebecca watched as he started the roast, first coating it with a gooey sauce which he said contained some barbecue sauce and a hyped-up Kool-Aid mixture. She asked him what all was in the mixture and he told her. She asked if he could give her some lessons in cooking as her mother always made regular plain blah meals. He told her he would be happy to show her how to adapt any recipe to your own taste. He explained how he got into cooking as a boy, and laughed when she said she'd never had a chance to really learn to cook anything except oatmeal. He said he'd tried some different things with oatmeal and told her a couple of things that had really worked out well. She said she would have to try them. Rebecca asked him if he had picked a girl's name yet. He asked why he would want a girl's name, and she said with the way he looked he should not be called Melvin anymore. You know, you do remind me of a girl I was in school with for a while. I have to remember her name. I think it was Bethany or something like that. That would be a pretty name for you. I think I will call you Bethany. Bethany is a pretty name, but I don't think it's necessary to change my name. I am not used to it and probably won't answer to it. I will call you by it until you answer without thought. Now, Bethany, what are you making with the roast? I'm making parsley potatoes and creamed carrots. It isn't hard. I can show you how easy it is. He showed her how to make the sauce for the carrots and how to chop the parsley for the potatoes. Then he showed her how to spice the butter for the potatoes and how to taste it to see if it was just the way you would want it. She was awed at how easy it was once you knew the secret. He asked her if she wanted to join them for supper and she agreed. She kept calling him Bethany as much as possible. Samantha arrived home and commented on how nice he looked. He thanked her and told her that Rebecca was joining them for supper. When they were eating, Rebecca said, Bethany has agreed to show me how he cooks. I never have learned how to use spices, and today he showed me how to make the sauces and everything. I can't believe how good everything tastes. Who's Bethany? Oh, you know him as Melvin, but I call him Bethany because he reminds me of a girl I used to go to school with. Bethany is a pretty name. I might have picked Melvina or Melanie, but I think he should have a pretty name to go with his pretty looks, so it will be Bethany. Bethany, did you thank Rebecca for your new pretty name? I don't remember if I did or not. If I didn't, thank you, Rebecca. They finished eating and Rebecca left, thanking him once again. Samantha told him she really liked his new name, and she was going to get him something to reward him for how well he was adapting to his new status as her wife. He couldn't think of anything he needed. The next morning Rebecca was there early. He said they weren't expecting her, and she told him she wanted to see how he was going to make tonight's supper. He asked if she'd eaten breakfast and she said she hadn't. He made a flavored oatmeal, adding an awful-looking but great-tasting concoction. When she tasted it, she raved at how great it was. Then he got the slow cooker and showed her how to flavor the meat using fruit juice and spices to bring out a different flavor. He told her it can sit in the refrigerator until it is time to start cooking. Then he told her what vegetable he thought went best with it and how to prepare it. He said regular boiled potatoes went best with it. She said she wanted to go home and try it. He told her to call if she ran into any problems. He went and played on the computer, but it just didn't seem the same. He couldn't get into his favorite game. As he walked out of the computer room, he thought about how nice the dress felt. He did a couple of twirls and laughed. He had a few groceries to get but wondered if he should really go out dressed like he was. Finally, he decided to go and see what happened. He got to the grocery store, and when he was checking out, the bagger asked if he wanted him to carry the groceries to his car. Both the bagger and checkout lady called him ma'am. He decided to push it and went to a discount dress shop. A saleslady came and asked if she could help him. He told her he was looking for a fancy but not too fancy dress. She said she knew just what he wanted and took him to 2 racks of dresses. He looked through the first rack and didn't find anything. In the second rack he saw a 3-piece outfit that included a light pink sleeveless shell and darker pink skirt and jacket. He had to try it on. When he looked in the mirror, he knew it was for him. Then he saw the perfect dress for him. It was white on top with rows of lace and a blue pleated mini skirt. To him it looked almost like a cheerleading outfit, but he loved it. When he tried it on, his slip showed, so the saleslady said she would get a slip for that dress. Quickly she was back with a dark blue lace top slip. He went and changed into the slip and back into the dress. He fell in love with the image he saw at the mirror. He told the lady to take the tags off of it, that he would wear it home. At home he put supper onto slow cook and went to look at himself in the mirror. He just loved how he looked, and it felt so nice also. He knew he had done the right thing in getting it. Tomorrow he would wear the other dress he'd gotten. He went to play on the computer, then sat thinking about the fact that he was a man, and men didn't wear dresses. Then he decided he would wear what he wanted when he wanted, and to hell with anyone's opinion. He could always tell anyone his wife was forcing him to wear the dresses, and he wouldn't be lying. The phone roused him from his thoughts, and it was Samantha telling him she would be just a little late getting home. He told her that would be no problem and went to turn down the slow cooker. The phone rang again, and it was Rebecca asking if it was all right if she brought 2 friends along tomorrow to learn how to make something else. She said she tasted today's meal and it was delicious. Then she said she told her 2 friends that it would cost each of them $25 for the cooking lesson. He laughed and said he would see them about 10 tomorrow morning. Everything was ready when Samantha got home. She first commented on how good something smelled and then noticed his new dress. "Is that a new dress? When did you get it? Where?" "Yes, it is new and I got it this morning at the dress discount shop. I had to get some groceries and decided to stop to see what they had. I got one other dress, but it isn't as short as this one is. I just had to get this one. I hope you aren't mad that I got it." "No, it looks very nice on you. You have great looking legs. They look a lot better than mine do, I am sure of that." At supper he told her about Rebecca bringing 2 friends tomorrow for him to show them how to make something special for a meal. Samantha suggested his orange marinated roasted chicken. He agreed that would be a good thing to show them. After he finished cleaning up, she had him come sit by her on the davenport. She kissed him and soon it was leading further. They went into the bedroom where she rode his rear and he screamed as he came in the most delightful way. Afterward she told him to leave his panties on so he could experience the sticky panty effect a lot of women have to experience. As they were getting ready for bed, she told him that the mini dress was just asking for sex and that it had really turned her on. She knew she was changing into a more dominant figure in their marriage, and liked how it felt. She wanted to keep him in dresses. He lay awake trying to think about staying in dresses. For some reason, he didn't know why, he wanted to continue to wear the dresses. They felt so nice on him and he reveled in the feel. He wondered if he had an addiction to them or what. Then he thought, how can a person have an addiction to something like a dress? The next morning Rebecca introduced him to Alyssa, Tim and Thelma Hightower, and he welcomed them. He was getting the makings out when the doorbell rang. He answered it and saw a woman who introduced herself as Clara Halstead. She said she was the home economics teacher at the high school and that Rebecca had gave her some of the food to taste that he had shown her how to make. She asked if she could observe whatever he showed them. He agreed, wondering why she would want to watch. He started telling them about using different flavorings to add taste to food. He said today he was going to show them how to make orange marinated roast chicken using Kool-Aid as the orange flavoring. He mixed the Kool-Aid with a couple of tablespoons of sugar, then added it to a small amount of barbecue sauce, then added 3 more spices to it, telling them it killed the barbecue flavor somewhat but added to the taste of the chicken. When he started to marinate the chicken, he showed them the easiest and least messy way to do it. He said every meat has its own way to be marinated to get the maximum effect of the marinade. He put it into the refrigerator to set until it was time to start roasting. Then he explained what to look for and how to check the temperature to see when it was done. Then he gave them each a computer printout of the recipe that also had a chart of spices to use to flavor different meats. He explained the charts and made sure to tell them to use small amounts of spices to give the hint of flavor and not overwhelm person's taste buds. All 3 girls gave him a hug and thanked him. When Alyssa and Thelma tried to pay him, he told them to keep it as he was just making supper for him and his wife. Alyssa told him he was a very pretty person, and he smiled widely at her. The 3 girls left and then Mrs. Halstead started to talk to him. "The reason I came is that we did have Myron Worth help us at school with the cooking part of home EC, but he moved to Dallas to be closer to his family. He was the head chef at the hotel dining room and he showed the students how to make those fancy things they like to serve. Now you show how to make meals that are more common to a family." We need someone to show the students how to use common everyday ingredients to make a delicious meal. You seem to have that ability. I am proposing that you help us out. You will be paid the substitute teacher rate for every day you teach. How does that sound? It sounds good, but there are problems. First, you do realize I am a man wearing a dress. How do you think the students will take that? Second, I am not a teacher, I am an accountant, and out of work right now. Thirdly, I do not have a teaching degree. Let me answer each question in order. First, the students will accept you for who you are. I expect some flack from a few parents, but it is nothing that can't be handled. Our school district has a non-discrimination policy that does address your situation. Second, you say you are not a teacher, but what were you just doing if not teaching? I love the way you put things in simple, understandable language and made sure every girl knew exactly what you were doing at each step. Third, the state requires a certified teacher in every class. I will be there, so that is covered. I am sure we can work out something. School starts in 2 weeks and we do need someone. I tried to talk to the new chef at the hotel, but he has too high an opinion of himself to come to teach a bunch of kids, as he called them. Please consider it and let me know. I need someone with your talent and expertise for cooking. I taught it, but it was mostly from books, not experience like you have. I will give it some thought, but don't expect someone spectacular. I learned to cook by taste, not recipe bound, but relying on my taste buds. Not everyone has the same likes and dislikes. That is what makes us different. Marvelous. That is what you tell the students. It is knowledge learned by experience that is important to get to our students. They can read anything, but actual experience is the best teacher. I know you have a lot to add to our curriculum. Please say you will help us out. I'll tell you what I will do. I'll let you know tomorrow if I'll do it. If I do, it has to be my way, and I am not sure all of your colleagues would think my way is so great. I can answer any questions anyone may have. I just got an idea. Did you want to learn to sew? I don't know what learning to sew has to do with cooking. I never thought about anything more than sewing a missing button on. Well, I know I could teach you how to sew like a professional. I could show you how to make a pattern and how to follow it. Then you could design and make your own dresses. If you take the teaching job, then not only will you get paid like any other teacher, but I will also teach you to sew like a professional. How's that for a deal? I'll let you know tomorrow. That is a promise. She left, and he wondered why he would want to learn how to sew. Then he thought about how he could make his own dresses and all sorts of things. Then he had to laugh at the idea. That night, when he discussed it with Samantha, she said she thought it was an excellent idea. She said it would give him something to occupy his time, and he would also learn another area where he might possibly find work. He decided he would take the job. When he called Mrs. Halstead, she was delighted that he accepted the job. They agreed to meet at the school on Monday at 9 in the morning so he could see the classroom. The 3 girls arrived and raved over how their families loved the chicken. He told them to keep experimenting, that he was just going to make breaded pork chops with milk gravy for supper. He said there was nothing special about it, but the girls said they wanted to see how to make them. Alyssa asked if she could bring a couple of friends along, and he agreed. He then suggested they all stay for supper. They agreed to be back at 3 to make sure they didn't miss anything. Then he said he wanted to talk to Rebecca. The other girls went into the living room while he talked to her. I've agreed to teach cooking at the high school. Mrs. Halstead convinced me to give it a try. I don't know if it'll go over well or not, but I'm willing to try it. If you hadn't put that makeup on me, none of this would have happened. I guess I have to thank you for that. I am not sure how the students will accept me, but Mrs. Halstead says not to worry about it. I am sure the students will accept you. Just be yourself and explain things the way you do to us, and everything will be all right. You could ask your wife to let you dress as a man again. I don't know if she would go for that or not. To tell you the truth, we are closer now than we've ever been, and I don't want to destroy that. She isn't hiding the fact she likes me in a dress more than when I wore slacks and a shirt. Do you want me to talk to your wife? A lot of times a girl can get through to another girl easier than a male to a female. I can explain how it happened that you got the nail polish and makeup in the first place. I've already explained that to her, and it's my problem and I'll handle it. Thank you for offering, I really appreciate it. You know, you don't make a bad-looking woman. If you were going to continue wearing dresses, you could have your eyebrows thinned a bit. Otherwise you can pass easily enough. You know, it's funny, when I was in school I hated a lot of things about it, but now I wish I was back there so I could have you for a teacher. Thank you for the vote of confidence. I really wonder how I'm going to do. I've shown you my favorite recipes and I'm going to have to actually look for some more to show the students. I think you have to tell them the things you told us, like it is better to cook under a lower heat and take longer than to hurry the cooking process. What about when you showed us how to marinate meats? That is important also. I guess I'll make it. Mrs. Halstead has said I will be paid like any other teacher, plus she said she would show me how to sew my own clothes. Yes, sewing is her passion. She is a great seamstress. She doesn't hide the fact that she really likes sewing. They continued talking for some time before she left. After she left, he thought about how close it had come to Rebecca talking to Samantha and convincing her to let him back into men's clothes. Samantha came home carrying a bag and remarked about how great the supper smelled. As they were eating, she commented on how good the meal was. You know what, with all the things you are doing for me, like cooking and everything, I have decided to reward you. I have something special for you and I will give it to you after you shower. What is it? I am dying to know. You will see as soon as you shower. I think it's time to remove all of your body hair again. You know where the bottle is and how to do it. When you're ready, I'll do your back for you. He loved how the clothes felt against his bare skin, but he never told her about it. She thought about it, how if she could keep him in dresses until the first class in school, then he'd be forced to keep on wearing dresses for the school year. When it was time for his shower, she rubbed the lotion on his back. In the shower, he wondered what she had for him. With the hair removal she had insisted on, he knew it wasn't his men's clothes. When he came out of the shower, Samantha was standing there with a big grin on her face. He saw a gold box on the counter and wondered what was in it. Samantha opened the box and he saw a large set of breast forms. Soon she had them glued on him. He was surprised at how heavy they were. Did you have to get such big ones? They stuck out about 5 inches from his chest. I special ordered them over a week ago. They are DDDs. I figured you like big-breasted women and would like a set of your own big breasts. They are the latest gel-filled and will move naturally. My breasts are only B's, and I thought someone should have generous breasts in the house. Now you can get rid of those awful socks you've been stuffing your bras with. I also got you some new bras to wear. They're in your drawer. Just how long do you intend on my wearing dresses? How long is it going to be before I am back in men's clothes? I think when these breast forms fall off on their own, then we can think about you getting back into your men's clothes. When do you think that will be? Well, the woman at the place where I got the forms said the glue will hold for quite a while. She said she knows of one woman who has had them on without regluing for over 4 years. Maybe you will be lucky and they'll come off in a few months, and then maybe you will set a record for them to stay on. You're a gambler of sorts, so think of it as a gamble. He put on his longest face and she was smiling. She knew that now there was no way he would ever fit into any of his men's shirts or suits. He was secretly happy with the way things were going, but he didn't want Samantha to know that. He wished she'd gotten him smaller breast forms though. When he went to see the classroom, Mrs. Halstead showed him the cooking area and he checked on the cooking utensils there. On a piece of paper he wrote down a couple of things he would pick up for the class. She told him cooking was usually held on Mondays and Fridays. He said that would be perfect. She said sewing was Tuesday and Wednesday and that on Thursday they discussed any questions and talked about everything, from the order of cleaning a house to planning an event like a dinner party. She told him she would like for him to attend all the classes and to join in whenever he wanted. Then she said she had a personal question for him and he said to go ahead and ask. She asked, "How did you end up in dresses?" He explained how Rebecca had gotten him into nail polish and makeup, then took the removers, and his wife had seen him like that, and all that had happened afterward. "I know Rebecca. Did you know that once she put nail polish and lipstick on her boyfriend and made him wear it for the entire school day? She can be quite persuasive sometimes, and she is a conniver. Tell me, how do you like wearing dresses?" "Well, at first I hated the idea of wearing them, then something happened and I now like the feel of them, the softness of them against my skin. To tell you the truth, I never thought I would be caught dead in a dress, but it has happened." "What does your wife think of all of this?" "I know she wants to keep me in dresses as long as possible. The other night when she presented me with these new breast forms, she said they could stay on for years and that I wouldn't be back in men's clothes until they fell off naturally by themselves." "So actually, each one of you wants the same thing? It isn't negatively affecting your marriage?" "No, in fact I think it's making our marriage stronger. She likes being in control. A few times she's called me her wife. I really don't mind that." "How did you get the name Bethany?" "That was another of Rebecca's ideas. She said I reminded her of some Bethany that she knew some time ago, and started calling me Bethany, and my wife heard about it and said that it was a perfect name for me. I'll bet that was Bethany Roman. You do remind me of her now that you mention it. She and Rebecca were close for a little while, then Bethany moved to another city." "Well, enough of this. I am really looking forward to your being part of the program. I am a sewer, not a really good cook, so we will balance each other off perfectly. I'll see you next Tuesday, the first day of school." He left and felt very good about teaching cooking. Recipes started going through his mind to show the students. He was humming a tune to himself as he returned home. The first day of school he was very nervous. All sorts of thoughts ran through his head. What if the students didn't like him? What if they made a scene about him wearing a dress? The what if started to overcome him and he wondered if he just should forget the whole thing. Then he settled down and started to get dressed. He asked Samantha if he couldn't just wear his men's clothes for teaching. "Mrs. Halstead saw you in a dress and she accepts who and what you are. Give it a try, and if it doesn't work out then we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Wear a nice outfit and look at things in a positive manner. You are a great cook and I am sure you can be a great teacher. Now, get ready and don't worry about what hasn't happened." He wore the green plaid jumper over a lacy white blouse with lace trim. The blouse had flared lace-trimmed cuffs on the sleeves. He wore white 2-inch heels with suntan nylons. As he applied the pink frosted lipstick, he wondered what was going to happen. He was sure it would be something dreadful. When he arrived at school and had parked the car, he sat for 5 minutes before going in. The third person he ran into was Mrs. Halstead. She asked him if he wanted a cup of coffee. He said that might calm his nerves, but he doubted it. She laughed and led him to the teacher's lounge. There were a dozen teachers there and Mrs. Halstead introduced him to the group. No one said a word about him being a man in a dress. On cue, the teachers started to leave. He walked with Mrs. Halstead to the classroom. He was feeling a bit better. She suggested he sit at the desk until she called on him to introduce himself. He sat and thought about what to say to the students. The first class went great, as it was first-year students and they were open to anything. In the second class, when he was introduced, he started with the same speech. "I am going to show you some cooking ideas. I believe cooking should be fun and an interesting experience, not a chore that is detested. I will try to show you how to flavor foods in different ways to bring out new and exciting flavors. I will show you how to make common sense recipes that are necessary for everyday life in this area." A girl raised her hand. "Ms. Monroe, Your voice sounds different and you look like Mr. Monroe who lives on my block. All of us Monroes look a lot alike. I would like to add, I feel it is not the clothes we hang on our bodies that makes a difference but who we are inside. Does putting on a fireman's hat make you a fireman or putting on a crown make you a queen? It's what is inside of you, that you're a person who is good or not so good. I am going to teach you to cook, not change who you are. Students from this school have already impacted my life greatly and I look forward to being able to teach you some of what I know. After class, Mrs. Halstead told him his speech was beautiful. She said he would have no problem teaching. He still had a bit of a doubt about that, but the rest of the day went without incident. The next day he sat as a student and started to learn to sew. That night he told Samantha he was now an artist on how to sew a button on. They both laughed at that. The first class, he had a handout that showed different things you could add to oatmeal to make it more flavorful. He introduced them to flavoring foods and talked for the whole period about how a little can go a long way. All of the students were surprised at some of the flavorings listed. On the next Monday, one girl came and told him she made oatmeal for her family on Saturday and they loved it. This gave him a lift, to know that at least someone was listening to his teaching. That day he showed them how to make ham and cheese stuffed into a hamburger patty. He told them he had surprised more people with this trick than with any other recipe he had. The girls quickly made one stuffed patty and he had the pans all ready to quickly cook off the creations. As they were eating their patties he told them it was more flavorful when cooked slower but that they had so little time that he had to hurry the process. All the classes went smoothly and he felt great as he left school. He decided to celebrate and stopped and bought a new dress. It was a white three-piece with a shell with 3 yellow embroidered daisies, and had a jacket with a row of daisies embroidered on each side, and a skirt that flared at the bottom. At home he changed into the new dress and when Samantha came home she asked if it was new, and he told her it was. At supper he told her about his day and how great things were going. He said he just had to celebrate, so he bought the new dress. She said she understood. Mrs. Halstead told the class to pick out a pattern and get the material to make some piece of clothing. She recommended a dress pattern. She said everyone was going to make something. It took him over an hour to pick out a pattern that he liked. He finally found one, and then it took forever to find the right material. He ended up getting the silky material that the saleslady recommended. She said it was elegant enough for the pattern. Maria Halstead said he had made a wonderful choice. He said he got everything on the list needed to make the dress. He stayed after school and she helped him pin the pattern to the material. She showed him how to place the pattern pieces so the cloth pattern would match. He was amazed at how much went into just the planning to make a dress. The next morning he cut out the pieces as he was shown and by noon was ready to start sewing. By the end of the school day he had the skirt pieces all sewn together. Tomorrow he wouldn't get to sew, as it was his teaching day. It was Friday and he was showing them how to marinate meat. The first 2 classes went very smoothly. Then he received a note asking him to come immediately to the superintendent's office. He told Mrs. Halstead that she had seen him do it and she could teach the next class. He figured the superintendent wanted to know about any teaching experience he had. The superintendent had him sit down, and he could see that he was thinking of what to say. For the last 2 weeks we've been getting some phone calls about you. It seems some parents are concerned about a man wearing a dress teaching their children. We have always told them we cannot discriminate due to sexual orientation. Now they have hired a lawyer to sue us if we continue to let you teach. We have contacted our lawyer and he has done extensive research on the subject of sexual orientation. While it spells out homosexual and pre-op and post-op sex changes, it doesn't address transgender people. What he is saying is that this is a gray area of the law. He says we would have a 50-50 chance at winning if it were to go to trial. At any rate we would have to suspend you with pay until it is settled, and he thinks that could be as long as 3 years if all the appeals were to be carried out. May I interrupt here? What you are saying is that I am some sort of sexual freak. No, not at all. I know you are a great teacher. I got reports from other teachers that your students are talking about how great you are. You are doing a great job teaching, and we have had no complaints from any student about you. It's, as far as I can tell, 3 sets of parents that are questioning if it's right to have you as a teacher. Well, what is the end result? Where do we go from here? Our attorney says we can fight this, but it is going to be expensive. He is talking in excess of $100,000. I want you to know we will stand behind you all the way if you chose to fight it. My suggestion is for you to get an attorney for your personal protection and have him call our attorney so they can work together. From what I gather, there is one other alternative, and that is for me to resign as a teacher. Yes, there is always that alternative. I am really sorry that we have to take the action we have to take, but for now you are suspended from teaching. Take whatever time you need to decide if you want to fight this or not. Let me know what you decide. Can I finish out the day? I am afraid the suspension is effective immediately. However, you can talk to the students but not teach. He left, and when he told Mrs. Halstead about what had happened, she was very distraught. She told him to talk to the class and that she would be back in a bit. She left for the superintendent's office. The first afternoon class came in, and he told them they could study anything they wanted, then sat and didn't say anything. Finally, one girl asked if there was going to be a class today. You can take the time to study. I have been suspended from teaching. There was a chorus of whys. It seemed everyone wanted to know why he was suspended. It seems some parents are upset that I am teaching here. They don't feel it's right. They have hired an attorney and are threatening to sue the school if I'm not removed. The district has decided to suspend me from teaching. I am sorry, but right now I cannot afford a lawyer to fight it. It has been a real pleasure getting to teach you. I want you all to know I will miss you. The students were shocked that anyone would object to him teaching when he did as good a job as any teacher they had. Just about everyone thought he was their favorite teacher. He was sitting there when Monica Bolson came up to him. She told him her parents were one of the ones who was after him to be fired. She said he was her favorite teacher, and she told her parents that they were all wrong, but they wouldn't listen. He told her he understood and that he liked every student he had. When Maria Halstead returned, he could see she was angry. She told him she really lit into the superintendent, and he said there really isn't much he could do but follow procedures. He told her that he probably would submit his resignation effective immediately. She told him to take the paid leave as long as he could. He told her he had a standard, and his standard was that he didn't take pay for work he didn't do. They talked for some time, and another class came in. Mrs. Halstead conducted that class, then gave him time to address the class. He basically repeated what he had said to the previous class. At the end of the school day, he told Mrs. Halstead that he may see her from time to see how things were going. She told him he wasn't getting off that easy, that he still had a dress to finish. He agreed to come back to finish the dress after she told him he had agreed to make it and that he was going to finish it. As they walked out of school, they were greeted by a large crowd of students carrying signs that said, "We will miss you," and "Fight until the end." HR got tears in his eyes as he slowly walked to his car. He got home and sat in his recliner and thought about all that had just happened. He thought about how sad it was that people make decisions without knowing who it affects and how. He knew one of the couples who were after him to be removed, but not the other two. He had never met them and knew nothing about them. He thought about what it would take to fight them. Samantha came in and immediately knew something was wrong. She asked what was wrong, and he was so engrossed in thought that he didn't hear her. She finally got his attention and asked what was wrong. "I was suspended today because 3 parents filed a lawsuit against the school because I was teaching there. I have whatever time I need to respond personally if I so desire." The school's lawyer checked and said it was a 50-50 chance to win in court. "I am suspended with pay, but I told them I don't care to take pay for work not done. Let's go get something to eat and we can discuss it further." A good meal and you will feel much better. Come on now. They had gotten their food and were discussing the options. Samantha thought for some time. You could go back to your men's clothes and teach. No, I thought about that. If I do that, it means they were right to sue. Also, the students accept me as I am, and it wouldn't look right to suddenly appear in different clothes. I know the students don't agree with the decision, but they have little to say in the matter. I think I am going to wait at least a few days before making a final decision. The superintendent said I should get my own lawyer to fight it, but you know we don't have money for a long battle that maybe we can't win. Well, no matter what you decide, I am behind you all the way. I know you really enjoyed teaching and it is a shame that you can't continue. Maybe something will come up that will work out for you. I really hope so. He felt a little better, but the suspension was still on his mind. He had gotten to know his students and they always made him feel good about himself. He knew he was going to miss their comments most of all. The weekend seemed an eternity, but he made it through. Samantha did everything she could think of to raise his spirits. He was a little more settled, but not his old self. On Monday, the superintendent called and told him the school board was going to meet on Wednesday at 6:30 and he was sure they would discuss the lawsuit. He suggested it would be a good idea to attend the meeting and see what developed. On Wednesday, he was all aflutter over the thought the school board was going to discuss him. He knew he would attend, but doubted that the school board would take it any further than dismissing him. At 6:20 he entered the chambers where the school board met and took a seat in the second row from the back. He was amazed at how many students there were there. He never knew they were that interested in what the school board decided. The meeting opened with a discussion about reinstating the driver's education program. It was brought out that the cost of the program would definitely break the budget big time. It was agreed to revisit the subject at the next budget time. Then the lawsuit was discussed. They discussed whether to terminate him or not. A student stood up and asked if she could speak. She was given permission to speak. I am one of his students and all I have to say is that he taught me things that I can and do use. He taught me that I can cook and it isn't a hard thing to do. I want all of the students who support him to stand up so you can see that he is definitely missed and that we want him back. It seemed that the whole room rose, because it was mostly students there. When all of them sat back down, one boy stayed standing and asked permission to address the board. Do you have one standard of anti-discrimination for the students and another for the teachers? He was told no, that the same standard applied to everyone, so he continued, I have never told anyone but I am gay. Are you going to suspend me for being gay? I have a friend who is starting the transition to go from being male to being female. Are you going to suspend him when you find out? It seems to me that you are using one set of standards for one and not for others. A girl stood up and asked to address the board. My parents were one of the ones that started the lawsuit, but I have to say something. I learned more in his class than a lot of my other classes, and it is something I can use. I tried to explain that to my parents, but they won't listen. Please let him come back and teach us. He isn't hurting anyone and he is a great teacher. The board chairman said they hadn't heard from anyone whether the teacher in question wants to fight the lawsuit or not. They said they would have to wait to see if a fight was in order or not. So he stood up and asked to address the board. I am the subject in question. I wasn't going to fight the suspension, but upon hearing from the students I realize I must fight it. All I want to do is show the students something I enjoy doing, and that is cooking. Every recipe I have shown them has resulted in praise from some of the students. I know there's a lot I can show them, but only if I'm allowed in the classroom to show them. I ask to be allowed back into the classroom. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. The chairman spoke. We are lucky that our attorney is here. We will now go into closed session to discuss it. It may take a while, but we will definitely let you know if any decision is made tonight. Please vacate the room while we discuss it. Outside in the hallway, the students all wanted to talk to him at the same time. Finally, they each took their turns to tell him how much they enjoyed him as a teacher. He was almost teary, hearing all of their remarks. Then an adult approached him. "Hello, I am Veronica Morton. I am one of the 3 that started the lawsuit, but I want to tell you that I am removing my name from it. It wasn't until I heard my daughter say we wouldn't listen to her that I realized it was true. I never figured my daughter would stand up and address the board as she did. I am ashamed that it had to come out. She is a smart girl and I trust her judgment. I am sorry for any problems I may have caused you." "Thank you. I really do enjoy showing the students how to cook. I am not a fighter usually, but tonight the students have taught me that sometimes you do have to fight. I am really a soup person. Could you show them how to make a good homemade soup? How about chicken noodle soup with homemade noodles? I have a wonderful easy recipe for that." "That sounds great, and if you don't get your job back, could you show me so I could show my daughter? I am sure we can work something out on that." 10 minutes later, they were all called back into the room. The chairman waited until it was quiet, then addressed the crowd. "We have discussed the matter and our attorney assures us that we will prevail if it should go to court. There are 2 laws in the state that address the matter and both of them tell us we are right in reinstating the suspended teacher. He will be back as a teacher tomorrow." The room burst into applause. A lot of the students got up to leave and in the hallway the boy who had addressed the board came up to him. "I just want to tell you that I think what you are doing is great. I have never thought about wearing a dress. How does it feel to wear a dress? Dresses aren't bad." Then they both laughed.